Hello and welcome to Almost Cancelled. And today we're here to talk about Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 6, Beyond the Wall. So this episode, it's the big, episode before the penultimate, before the finale,
Yeah.
where usually the biggest things happen. And this one's no exception.
Right. So spoilers now, just in case.
Spoilers, yeah. So I'm going to introduce ourselves before, the spoilers.
Yeah.
And with me is the Maester of White Harbor, Connor.
That had a nice new title. It's cool.
You did. You're no longer the Ginger Raven.
No.
And I, of course, am Matt, the King Beyond the Spoiler Wall. So from here on, spoilers for Episode 6, Beyond the Wall. So
There we
Connor,
go.
take it.
Right. So we start, beyond the wall,
Yeah.
as the title hints, and
It's smart.
it is. Yeah. Unlike Eastwatch, you get what it says on the tin.
Yeah.
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 But-
So that's here. This one, I mean, you really couldn't call it Eastwatch because they're not
'Cause you
really
see
there.
Eastwatch like once.
Yeah, and you see the same amount as you did in the last one. So good. We complained, but good on the creatives for, doing that.
Yeah.
Playing with expectations.
Yeah.
So we start from there. They go out on the ranging.
Yep.
on
And
mission.
we basically open with 10 minutes of banter between the
Yep.
group. Yeah, we got all sorts. We got the Hound telling Gendry to stop whinging,
Mhm.
and he's like, I'm not whinging." He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Your lips are moving, and you're whining, and there's whining coming out of it. You're whinging." It's not-
Which is so funny because this is a kid that's from the South that's never felt cold.
yeah, like he says, he's never seen snow before.
Yeah. And so even though he's a bastard like John, they are, again, complete polar opposites.
Right.
Yeah, and it's great to see the Hound constant. Death did not change him. Although I don't know, it's to be fair, he didn't really die. But
Yeah, not really.
no. But the awesome Septon, I can't remember his name, Ian McShane,
Yeah,
he did change him, but the Hound's still the Hound.
he is. He's still got the witty one-liners, like that one there, and there's the great one with Tormund, of course, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
But we some more banter. We have them all kind of just getting to know each other. Like you have a great scene between John and Jorah, where he's like, the first time I came out, I was with your father, and they kind of bond over respect for him.
Yeah, for good old Gior.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird that Tormund's there and Tormund's responsible for Gior's death. But hey,
Yeah,
when the walkers are coming, you set aside
right.
rivalries.
And John obviously offers him back the sword, Longclaw, which
Yep.
is of course Jorah's family sword.
Right.
But he's like, no, it's yours. Although I can see if Gendry does make some Valyrian weapons, maybe he'll give it back then because he's like, I don't need it.
The way that I see it, the Stark family sword's gone. It's two swords now.
Yeah.
It's Widow's Wail and Oathkeeper. And that is a sword of the North. So Jorah, in doing what he did and becoming a smuggler to support his wife and kind of disgracing the family,
Mm.
I can kind of see him going, no, I'm not a Northman in so much anymore.
Yeah,
And
No, I
and
get
you are. So, but yeah, it would be cool. I mean, at this point, it's Jon's sword.
It is.
He relieved him as the Lord Commander. And yeah, but I did like that scene. It just shows Jon's respect for tradition.
right,
And
exactly.
In that, even though they're on this mission where they might not come back, he's giving up his one, like, that we know can kill. a
Right,
walker.
this is the most valuable weapon they have between
Yeah.
them.
hmm
But still, it's nice, and that opening is basically just a bunch of these, like everyone getting to know each other.
Yeah.
And it's nice, but it doesn't really do much plot wise.
No. It establishes that it's the calm before the storm, and you're like, well, not all these guys are coming back,
Right,
so let's get some good character moments before.
right, and it definitely is.
hmm
But then we cut away for the first time. We don't actually cut away very much. Most
No.
of it is beyond the wall.
Yep.
The first time we have Arya and Sansa back in Winterfell, and Arya's telling a story about how she used to come out and shoot the bow and arrow, even though she knew she wasn't allowed. And there was one arrow there, and she would go up over and over and just get it back. And then when she finally hit the bullseye, she could hear Ned clapping.
Yep.
And even though she wasn't supposed to be doing it, he was still proud of her.
Yeah, as she put in the work, and that's what he respected. In that, because part of the story is that was Bran's bow, and so she picked it up so he wouldn't get into trouble. Right. So, and she just started, and they're standing where Ned used to stand, her and Sansa.
Yeah, and we saw him stand there at the start of the show.
Yeah, and so it's a real nice story, and it reminds us that there were happy times before all of this, and Arya's always been Arya.
Yeah, and then she comes out and accuses Sansa. She has the letter from last episode, and she's like, yeah, they killed him with your help. And she's like, yeah, why didn't you do anything? And it gets pretty rough between the two of them.
Yeah, this is my thing. I feel like Arya's doing this to, chaos is a ladder, right?
Right.
I feel she is now sowing chaos. Deep down, she knows Sansa was forced to do this because Arya knows what kind of person Cersei is. She's doing this to draw out Littlefinger because I read this article that pointed out Arya's actions last episode. For someone that's very adept and trained to hide and blend with the shadows, she was making herself very well known to Littlefinger.
That's true. I really hope that is the case. Otherwise, it seems a little disappointing. Otherwise,
yeah, because it shows that they haven't learned. They're still the same dumb kids, and for as much growth as we think that we've seen, they haven't really that much. No, and so that's why I'm hoping that this is Sansa's wake up call. That someone's driving a wedge between them.
Yeah. But I like when she hits back going, you were there, why didn't you do anything? And I was like, yeah, but that was different. It's like, well, it wasn't really, was it?
No. Yeah, I like that Sansa gets a backbone here. Like, she's not, because it's just her and Arya. She doesn't have, she's not putting on a show for anybody. And they're sister fighting. It goes back to Arya was the one that wanted to play with swords. She was the one that wanted to play with dresses.
Yeah.
And they've always kind of resented each other for it because they're not like the other.
Right, exactly.
And now they've gone even beyond that in their roles in adult life. Even though Arya's not an adult yet, she's been through some things. And she even points that out later, that she's learned a lot in her travels.
Right. There was that great bit where Sansa says she was forced to it and says, but she was a child. And I was like, yeah, you think that the Northern Lords are going to care about that when Lyanna Mormont stands up and calls you out on your shit?
Loved it. Yes. And Arya points out too that you're so willing to turn on Jon just to keep these Northern Lords who are going to turn on you as soon as you upset them.
Yeah.
As soon as they turned on Jon, so why don't you just hold firm? And I think she's just pointing. Yeah, she's just pointing out to Sansa that Littlefinger's still playing you. You think that you haven't figured out, but he's sowing all these seeds.
And you get the idea that Sansa knows. She's like, where did you get that? And she suspects Littlefinger, surely. And she's like, he's doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope.
That's what makes me think that this is all part of Arya's game, because the Faceless Men, not only do they teach them the magic of taking faces, but also deception.
Yeah.
And I feel like she would see it coming. Granted, she's new to all this, but she would know that, like you pointed out, Littlefinger left it for her on purpose.
Right. So that's all that's in that scene. Then we move back beyond the wall and we get a bit more, just more character stuff. Mainly two pairings here. So we have Tormund and the Hound, which is a lot of fun.
My favorite buddy cop duo.
Right.
I want a show of this. They're talking about doing spin-off shows or one-offs. Hopefully both of these guys survive the events of the show.
Yeah, unfortunately, they've confirmed all the spin-off shows will all be prequels.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, Matt.
Disappointing. Because I love these two. Tormund talking about he's got a lady back home. She just doesn't know it yet. That line killed me.
Right, and when he's like, oh, you know Brienne too.
Yeah.
And the Hound's like, but how do you know she was? She's like, oh, she gives me a look. Yeah. And he goes, oh, what is he? He says, a look that'll, cut your kidneys or something, cut your liver in half. and he goes, you do know her.
Yeah. I love Tormund so much.
Yeah,
He,
they've really played with the colloquialisms here as well.
yeah,
When they're talking about sucking cock, and
yeah.
Hound goes, yeah, you're a dick, and Tormund doesn't know that word for it.
Right.
He's like, dick, I like it, and
Yeah.
Hound goes, I bet you do.
Yeah. They're just dudes. Like,
There is.
you don't get to see them like bust each other's balls very often.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
And these two are perfect to do it.
You
with each
even
other.
have the Hound shit on him for being ginger,
Yeah.
which I can't help but love.
Yeah. Of course, right? It's a self-hating part of you.
I know. What can I say?
Yeah. And then we get Beric and Jon.
Yeah, I think
up.
this one has a little bit more interesting stuff in it,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to just some of the banter. The bit that really stood out to me is Beric says to Jon that he doesn't look like his father, and he says, "I suppose you favor your mother." And
Yeah.
you're just wondering, does he know? Has the Lord of Light told him?
Maybe, because he's a soldier of the Lord of Light, right? He's not a priest like Thoros.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like the Lightning Lord, I think is his moniker. And so yeah, maybe because he's been touched by it so many times. What was it, 7 times? He's been
He's been
resurrected.
brought back 6.
6. Okay.
I only know that because earlier on, when Hound's telling Gendry he's whinging, he goes, "Yeah, this one's been brought back 6 times. You don't see him bitching about it."
Yeah. Real good.
Fantastic.
And that's so Archmaester Jared, my good buddy, he's rereading the books, and he pointed out something funny from the first book, that Tyrion is drinking and taking in the events at Winterfell, and goes that Jon looks so much like a Stark, he's wondering if he's not inbred. And so it's just like, well, was that the booze talking? Is Tyrion just wrong? Did George not formulate it that far?
No, I think, to be fair, it's just the idea here that he really does take after his mother, but everyone just assumes it's Ned.
Right, that's what I'm saying, is that Beric is coming out and telling him that you don't much look like Ned, kind of just hinting along those. But, early on in the books, it's almost like he's setting up a red herring. True. So I just thought that was fun to point out because he pointed it out to me.
Yeah. I've also been rereading them. There's a few things that, really stick out as interesting now that we've got more information.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a fun line, and I like too that it's these two guys that have been brought back.
Yeah.
And for Beric, it's much different for Jon, because Jon's basically, as he told Melisandre last time, if I die, don't bring me back. Just let me be. And so I think it looks like they have both very different philosophies, where Jon's very gloom and dour, where Beric's like, no, I'm on a mission. Like, keep bringing me back until my mission is fulfilled.
Right.
Yeah.
And as he points out here, he believes his mission is to have got all of them out here now to do this. He doesn't think that he necessarily has more to do than getting them here. Yeah. Same for Jon as well. He's like, maybe your mission is just this.
Yeah. And that very much could be, because at that point, the Hound looks up and sees the mountain from his vision, which I thought anytime they bring us back to that, it's real cool, because this was the guy that believes in nothing.
Right. So, it's just really showing you how much this has affected him.
Mm-hmm.
But then we cut away to Daenerys and Tyrion.
Yeah.
And, they have a whole big thing. It's actually quite a long scene that it goes on for.
Yeah.
It starts with Daenerys talking about how all these heroes that are around her, and she's kind of annoyed that they're all so heroic and have to be macho and prove themselves.
Yeah.
And Tyrion's like, yeah, I guess it's because they're all in love with you.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing, is she's done equal amount, if not more. Actually, I'm not going to say if not more. She's done way more than any of those 4.
Yeah.
And she's not posturing, So I like where she's coming from on that. And it goes into where all the women in leadership roles at the start of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Go ahead.
We have like the joke. So once Tyrion points out Jon's clearly in love with her, and he's spotted the glances as well. Not that they were very subtle. And she goes, "Oh, he's too little for me." and then
Ugh.
you just see his face.
Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant.
As someone that's the same height as Kit Harington, that burned. That I felt Tyrion's pain there. So I was just like, yeah, well, all right. I might not be tall, but I can lift heavy things. That's where I'll make up for it.
Yeah, that's true. But
Yeah.
I guess we should talk about what might be Matt's favorite scene from the show,
Hmm.
because we have a white bear.
Yeah, not a white like White Harbor, like a white like the undead.
Yeah,
And so we're back at the Beyond the Wall, and a blizzard hits these guys as they're in the looking for the spot, the
yeah,
mountain, and this beast attacked, and I was like, well, that's way too big to be a wolf. And then I get
right.
eyes on it, and it's a damn polar bear, but it's
It's
undead.
yeah, and
Oh
it's the way this is shot is incredible because you can't see it. You get a
no,
glimpse of it in the distance, and you think you know where it is,
yep,
and then suddenly it just jumps out from the side,
yeah,
and you're like,
it's a
shit, where the
force.
hell did that come from?
Yeah, it's a force of nature.
It is. It's terrifying.
And
And
they're all doing their best to fight it, but they're fighting in a snowstorm against a flipping
right,
undead polar bear.
the
Like, what do
most
you
thing is
do?
the best they have for visibility is when they light the swords on fire. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
quick, this'll help.
which I get goosebumps every time they do that. Like,
So
it's
cool,
very
isn't it?
Star Wars esque.
It is.
That's not lost on me. But just in the blizzard, it looks so cool.
It really does. And
Yeah,
oh man, that bear was fantastic.
and
And
and it was this scene that made me remember that it's not just the seven. It's not
yeah, there's a
it's
couple of
Mark
others
seven
that we don't really care about.
because they keep dropping like
They're,
flies.
they're they're essentially Star Trek red shirts.
Yeah, yeah,
Eh,
and
There's
oh
not
man,
that many, to be fair. There's maybe 4 or 5 of them in total.
yeah. But when they start dropping, I started to get worried that they were guys that we're all attached to. It's because you can't. The show does a good job at keeping you confused
Yeah.
with what's going on in the action, but Thoros gets it, man. Like that bear gets a piece of him, and the Hound just lets it because he's got a flaming sword and doesn't want to
Yeah, he
get
can't
close
get
to the
in
fire.
there. He just can't do it, can he?
I was like, bro, you just got over this.
I
You
know.
looked into the fire. Like, now it makes me wonder if he saw something in the fire again, and maybe that's why he didn't move.
I don't know. Well,
You know,
that's a good way of looking at those. But interesting.
because I just figured he was kind of over that. That was that whole point in the house, and he's a reformed
Mhm.
guy, so that fear was gone. But it could just be he reverted back because it's a high stress situation, and
Right. I thought it was kind of like he got over it in that moment, and he thought he was, but when confronted with the reality, when he's unprepared for it, it just hit him again.
yeah, and that could be. But someone made a Dungeons and Dragons reference on this that it's like he's your tank, and you
Yeah.
let the healer get mauled. It's like that's just bad gamesmanship.
It is pretty poor, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Like that's the
Yeah.
one dude that can do magic. So now we're kind of boned, but we get to see Barrick. Now, did Barrick do an actual ritual from the Lord of Light, or did he just like
No, I think it was like
cauterize the wound?
cauterize the room.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
just
at
it was just
first,
the idea of the fire.
yeah, okay. Because at first I looked at it like he was doing like a, well, I'm gonna say Thoros because he's done it so many times to me, right?
Yeah.
But then upon further thoughts, I was like, well, no, maybe you're just cauterizing the wound because, like you just said, the flaming sword.
Yeah.
And we get confirmation later on which of those that it actually is. So, but yeah, in the moment I was a little bit confused, not confused, but like where's
Just
this going?
questioning it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's pretty much that scene. But
Mhm.
it was cool because there was an undead bear. And
yeah,
what more do you want?
that was pretty metal. Like I
What it
couldn't.
was.
I had Zeppelin in my head as that was going on.
It's just great stuff.
Yeah.
But back to Winterfell. We have a little bit with Sansa and Littlefinger, and Littlefinger kind of spreading those seeds of doubt again. He's kind of pointing out that if things should happen between Sansa and Arya, Brienne's obligated to kind of stand between them.
Hmm.
And there's just this idea that maybe Brienne could be in the way. And yeah, it's a shame.
It is, but I feel his time's not long in this
No,
world.
it's yeah. There's not really much more of this scene. It's just showing that Sansa still seems to confide in him.
Yeah,
I don't know if she's playing him or if she is still a little bit more naive than we think.
right. So this whole episode, I thought that maybe that some of these scenes of Sansa were Arya playing as Sansa, but then I'm like, I don't understand how the faceless man stuff works.
Yeah, I always got the implication that they had to kill them and literally take the face off
Right,
off the body.
but then they also have the silk masks that we've seen Arya wear that look like that.
Yeah,
They could like when she was in the House of Black and White,
yeah,
and she kept taking off the masks, and they were different people. Granted, those people might have been dead.
yeah.
You
That
know?
was what I got. I thought all the ones in in the House of
Yeah.
Black and White were already dead faces that they'd taken.
Okay.
Like they just that was the collection they'd built up.
Okay. But yeah, so I'm going around and not trusting anything, which I think is the point of these, though. Like
Yeah.
you're supposed to be on edge and thinking anything can happen at that time. So, but yeah, I don't like the Stark kids fighting. I say it every week. It just makes my stomach hurt, and
Yeah.
I don't want it.
No, it's not nice, is it?
Mm-mm.
It's not nice. Hopefully, John will come back soon and put an end to it.
Yeah,
No.
if he can survive the North, because he's still beyond the wall.
Right. Speaking of Beyond the Wall, we are at the moment of capture.
Yeah.
At
So,
this
so
fight, they see a group.
yep, and they're like, we're gonna get him. And again, Dungeons and Dragons. I've never played, but from what I've heard, this is what you do. You go in as a team to complete the objective.
Pretty much.
And if you have a good dungeon master, things go south real fast. And they have a good dungeon master on Game of Thrones. It goes south real fast. But we get to see Jon take out a walker, so that's cool. That's always a great visual.
Yeah, and it's real interesting that the whites around him, all but one, just die and crumble
Right.
when he takes out the walker, which is very interesting. And it's a big game changer because it means when the eventual battle comes, target the walkers, kind of ignore the whites, they'll drop.
Right.
And it seems to be that it's a case of whichever walker turned them.
Right. So this tells me it's vampire rules. You take out the head vampire, all the other vampires are toast.
Right. That's
So
it.
that tells me that Night's King, public enemy number one.
Right. If they can get the Night's King,
Mhm.
all of them should drop, in theory.
Yeah.
Which
But-
is cool.
But still, even if they get their numbers, if they get their numbers back down to manageable and keep them pushed back beyond the limits,
Yeah.
let's say even the wall comes down, hypothetically, we have information now that is going to go into the books of the Dragon Glass, of Valerian Steel, and basically lost knowledge from all those years ago from the Long Night that can help keep them
Right.
push
So it
that.
should never be as big a deal again.
exactly. And that's the way I'm taking about it. And there's always the whole climate change parable that's going on here.
Yeah.
And basically, it's stuff's going to happen no matter what. If we can curb it to a manageable point, that's how we deal with it. So we don't actually have to defeat it. We just have to manage it. And that's what I feel like the whole take out the whites or take out the walkers and the whites fall. Because the whites are essentially just cannon fodder. Like they're just in wave after wave after wave.
Yeah.
At people, and they have no real value. So, yeah, hit the walkers, take them down.
Pretty much. That reminds me. Obviously, I think it was last week we got Gendry introduced himself to Jon, and the name Davos wanted him to use was Clovis. And
Yeah.
someone pointed out this actually has more meaning than you'd think. It's not just random. Clovis, it's a people who invented like new arrowheads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was much
The
more
Clovis
effective.
culture
Right.
in archaeology, yeah.
Right. So the idea is he's going to be the one to forge the dragon glass into
Yeah.
presumably some arrowheads and make things useful.
Yeah.
But basically, they finally capture this one, but it starts screaming. I mean, they rip its tongue out. No wrong, but it's too
Yeah.
late.
Yeah.
And in comes running the zombie horde. There's kind of no other way to describe it.
Yep. No, and see, I'm not a big fan of zombie stuff. Like, it just never appeals to me. But I guess if you put a fantasy dress on it, I'm cool
Yeah.
with it.
Clearly.
Yeah. So, because like I've never been into Walking Dead or the Night of the Living Dead and that type of stuff. It's just not my thing. But here, when you introduce swords and hammers and fire, I'm like, okay, I can get
Yeah.
down with this.
Yeah.
So
We should point out before the Horde arrives, they do make Gendry run off. They're like,
yeah,
go back to Eastwatch, send a Raven, tell Daenerys what happened. You need to.
yeah,
And he
because
has to
they're
leave
not
his hammer.
actually. Yeah, he has to leave his hammer because it's too heavy to run with, and of course the Hound picks it up, so he's the biggest dude.
Yeah.
But what's the thing about Gendry, or what I was going to say about when he's running back, they're not actually that far from Eastwatch. You
They're
know,
not. No.
they've had like a half day's travel, but at this point,
Right. Like I
so
said, but we've seen them just kind of walking, taking it easy
mhm,
because why
yeah,
waste energy? He's pretty much sprints the whole way and
yeah,
he's utterly exhausted by the end of it, but it's doable, is
yeah,
the point.
exactly. And so they point out that he's the fastest and probably the most in shape. So that's pretty good blacksmithing.
Yeah.
Great vocational training, you know, for the body and whatnot. And yes, but Hound with the hammer, great. Like I'm
Yep.
not gonna complain about that. But this is where things go from bad to worse
Pretty much.
because the Horde comes and pushes them over a lake, and a frozen lake. And you gotta remember, it's that cold where they're at. Like it's even cold for John, who grew up in the north, and the lake is instantly frozen. It's frozen thick.
Yeah.
So they can walk on it, but you start introducing thousands upon thousands of whites, and
It ain't holding, basically.
nah. So they managed to get to this little island while all the whites sink. But now it's a waiting game, and they look
I
up.
love how when they run it, the whites just keep running and running and running, and it's
Yeah,
like, oh, we're all falling in.
yeah.
It's
Oh, and it
great.
reminded me of Hard Home, like when we see them get into the water, and it's like, well, they'll freeze, but they're not gonna stop until they are
Right.
fully frozen, and it just shows how scary they can be. And yeah, but they look up and they are surrounded in this valley
Yeah.
on this ice island, and don't look good. So they're already down one
Yep.
because Gendry's gone. Thoros was attacked by that bear.
He's mostly out of action at this point.
Exactly. So now there's five, and I like all five of these guys. So I'm super invested in at this point.
Right. But this is, we leave them on that island for a little bit and we cut away. And so first we go and see Sansa and she basically sends Brienne away. She's like, hey, I've got a job for you. Get going. And kind of feels like she's concerned with what Littlefinger said. She doesn't want her to step in and help Arya out. So it's like, let's just get rid of her, and she can't. Which feels like it's a super bad move. That's clearly what Littlefinger wanted. He's like, let's get Brienne out of the way, because then she can't protect you both.
Right.
It really feels like she didn't learn much, doesn't it?
No. She learned enough, but she's still falling for his tricks, and that's why he's got to go.
Yep.
That's gonna be my rallying cry. We got one episode left after this one, and if he's still around after episode 7, I'm gonna flip a table. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, someone's got to die. Why not him?
Well, yeah, and it's to go down to King's Landing, and we know that Brienne, she's got Jaime. Like, there's a mutual respect there. Even we saw last season at River Run, there was an easy truce between them, even though they were on opposing sides.
Yeah.
So I can kind of see this is how I feel like Brienne being in King's Landing is what's gonna push Jaime to the side of the Angels.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, because there was an image from the trailer of her in the gold armor. And
right. Okay.
we haven't seen that yet, so I'm willing to guess she falls in with Jaime at this point, and that's not a bad thing because she brings out the best in that man.
She does, and of course, this means she'll be here when they bring the White back, so she'll be down there for all that going on.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we basically have a little scene of Genji reaching Eastwatch, them dragging him in, and him going send a Raven, and then we cut to Daenerys. Shacking up, going, you're right, let's go, dragons.
So in that scene with Tyrion, like, he was basically telling her, don't become Cersei. Like, I know you want to rule, and I know that's your focus, but don't do what she would do. And that was the whole point there of their talk. And so here, she's got her dragons, and she's like, I'm going to go help. Because she doesn't want to be like Cersei.
Right,
And
and it's Tyrion's pleading with her not to, and she's like, "How can I do nothing?" And he's like, that's sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, but it's the best thing to do.
mhm.
But she's having none of it.
Nope. And sometimes she can't just listen to him because he's very much the guy that's not by the book, but these are the rules. This is what you need to do. Don't take risks. And she's like, every time I've taken a risk, it's worked out well. So that's what I'm going to keep doing.
Yep, it's only a matter of time, isn't it?
Yeah.
You keep gambling, eventually you're going to lose.
Yeah, but you can ride that win streak,
Yeah, well, that's true.
Keep going. Press your luck. And that's what she's doing because we're back beyond the wall and things are looking dire for our heroes.
They are. We've seen one night has passed, and I think it was Thoros is frozen here.
Yep. So his wounds have gotten the best of him. He wasn't much for this world, as it were. We had a great story with him and Jorah about his bravery in the Iron Islands during their first rebellion.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, don't mistake me for heroic. I was just drunk."
Yeah.
So,
well, that was fun.
Yeah, he was kind of world weary as it was, so I almost kind of felt like he knew he wasn't coming back.
Yeah, and if we're losing one, I'm okay with this one.
Yeah, and so his body's burnt because you can't have him coming back.
Right.
Yeah, and so
I do love that when they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna burn the body," and Hound's like, "Where are we gonna get fire out here?"
Yeah,
and they're just whooshing up the sword.
Yep. Exactly, and it's the Hound that points out that the lake's now solid enough to cross, and here they come.
Yeah. He tests it by chucking a rock, but when they realize that, hang on, he's just thrown a rock. Oh, we can go now.
Yeah, and so, oh man, this scene is so good because again, I'm invested in all of these guys.
Yeah,
and you got the Hound with the hammer just taking them on, and Tormund has his axe. Jon's up the sword. You see Jorah with the dragon glass knives.
Yeah.
Just taking them all out. And then you have Beric with his flaming sword. And it's just like, this is the part of fantasy stuff I like. If Lord of the Rings was more like this, more flaming swords, I'd be all about it.
You should have just normal. Lord of the Rings is excellent.
But for you, not for me. It bores the crap out of me. And they're fighting. And again, I'm hearing some like Led Zeppelin in my ear as they're going.
Yeah, and it's just chaos, isn't it?
Yeah, and Tormund, one of my favorite dudes.
I thought we were going to lose him.
I shed a tear. I was like, that's it. He knows he's going, and he's going to take out as many as he can.
I had the whiskey at the ready to drink for him.
There you go. And it was that Viking, huh?
It was.
There you go. Proper for Tormund. I think that actor, is he Swedish or is he Icelandic? He's Nordic for sure.
He's got to be out from over that way, yeah.
Yeah, he's got one of those unpronounceable names when you look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're pulling him towards a hole because Hound missed with one of the hammer strikes, trying to sink a bunch, and they kind of just dodged it. And they're starting to pull him in, and you're like, oh man. But then here comes the Hound, picks him up and drags him, and it's like,
he really
he's gonna give it back to his lady. He does, but the Hound knows that you need as many guys right now because we're gonna have to take out as many as we can.
Plus,
and then Jon
wants to be happy,
and he wants Bran to be happy, and Jon gets like pushed up against the cliff, and we kind of see them swarming at the bottom of this.
Yeah,
cliff.
And he's guarding the back basically because they start climbing up there.
Yeah, and one of the other last members of their party, that's the red shirt. Well, let's call them the red cloaks to fit in. The last red cloak goes over, and you just see him. He's boned.
Yep, pretty much. They just rip him apart.
Yeah, sea of whites, and it's looking hopeless. And Beric's taking him out, but it's not enough.
It's like no, this is it. This is the end. And then you've got the one that they've captured. He's like he's got like a scarf over his head and stuff, and it's like. He keeps trying to crawl away, and they keep having to drag him back. It adds these real moments of levity in this horrific fight.
It does.
It's really great stuff.
It wasn't quite Benny Hill, but it was close enough for me.
Yeah.
That we brought up last week.
It was as close as we're ever going to get.
Exactly. So, things are looking bad. but what's that? Suddenly it starts raining fire, and it's Danny, and I'm getting goosebumps just talking about this moment.
My one problem with this episode is they're really playing fast and loose with how fast these ravens are, because we know this. You know, a lot of the time I kind of write it off as, oh, sometimes just passed, but here they established one night.
Yeah,
like they did that establishing shot, and that's it. But fine, whatever. It's cool.
Yeah,
I want to hear.
In my brain, ravens are faster than pigeons. They're a little bit more of a bird of prey, so we'll take that way.
I'll take your word on it.
Yeah, we'll just go that way. It's either that or they're doing, like the planes do, where they get up to the close, low orbit, so they can slingshot back down, But yeah, but here she comes. And she's riding. Yeah, she's. It's like the cavalry again. Like, Drogon is the MVP this season. Just.
Oh man, they come in and just fire everywhere. Whites are going down. It's just.
And the White Walkers look a little bit worried.
They do.
And you got Viserion. I think all 3 of her dragons are there, right?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, so they're all flying. Daenerys is trying to get to the crew. She can kind of see where they are. And the other 2 are just taking them out. And the Night's King is just like, oh, well, we got something to deal with this.
Yeah, but obviously, so at this point, Daenerys has landed. They're loading everyone up. And, just obviously the captured White first. They're trying to get everyone on. And I think they've got pretty much everyone but Jon at this point.
Yep.
And then we cut to the Night King.
Yep. And Jon's bringing up the rear, like we said earlier. He's watching.
He's down at the bottom doing what he can, holding them off. Because obviously he's got the sword to do it.
Right. Exactly. He's at the Valyrian. And yeah, so the Night's King, those lances we've seen him carry.
Yep.
And this dude's an ace, because one shot heaves it.
Yeah, I thought it was going for Drogon. I thought, I was like, this is the end of Drogon, and you get the one that they're all on, keep them all there. That's the obvious target to me in that moment.
Right. But he is also taking massive losses because he's got 2 other dragons just burning.
Yeah.
And we know fire is not their friend, especially the walkers. And dragons, to say the least. So he heaves that thing, and it finds its target. And oh man, I have never been more sad watching the show.
So it smacks right into. We're pretty sure it was Viserion.
Yeah, and Dany, those are her kids. Like, we know this.
You just see the pain on her face as Viserion comes crashing down. It comes crashing down hard.
He does, and it's not like, we saw that and this is what I thought that the Scorpion was brought in for, is like, yes, you can man-make a dragon gun. Let's just call it that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's going to do anything to Drogon. You start introducing magic into this, and that's how you take out a dragon.
That's it. We expected this when it hit Drogon, a couple of episodes ago, and he kind of started falling like this, but he kind of caught himself. He's like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Nah, Viserion straight down.
Straight down, and it looks like it exploded a piece of his wing.
Yeah, it was rough, and he just slides into the water, and that is the end of Viserion.
And the lake claims him, and it's, again, I've seen favorite characters of mine die, but I've never been just like wrecked.
It's like, in movies where human characters can die, and it's like, whatever, but then a dog dies.
Yep.
This is like that, exactly. But with dragons.
Well, this is like Summer last year, in the cave, that he stayed to save his boy, and it's just like, oh man, animals are better than people, even CGI animals.
Right, but they finally get out of there. Jon tells them to just go, leave him. He falls into the water, and they do. They fly off, and that's it. And then we do cut back to Jon. He kind of waits them out, stays under the water until they go, and then he gets up.
Okay. I know he's from the north. I know he's wearing insulated armor.
I know.
You can't. So is this? We know he's got Targ blood, right? We know Targ blood prevents you from dying in certain spaces.
So you think it's like the fire in his blood keeps him warm enough?
Maybe. I mean, if Danny didn't go burned in that funeral pyre,
Yeah.
right, and hatch the dragons, then I would just, it's the Song of Ice and Fire. He survived an ice bath. She survived a fire death.
Yeah.
You know?
I also like that Jon is ice and fire, like literally. He's Stark and Targaryen.
Yeah.
So, he is the answer.
Yeah. So I might be just headcanoning this a little bit too much, but he was under there for a while, man.
It was.
And so he pulls himself up, and he's just taking a nice bath, and he pulls himself. He's all stiff, and they look back and they start charging at him.
And in comes Uncle Benjen.
Uncle Benjen.
It's a cool entrance. He's swinging it's kind of like like an incense thing.
Yeah, it's
on fire.
We saw him save Bran with it last season, and I'm just like, I'm watching this with my wife, and they go, "Here comes Uncle." She goes, "How do you know?" I'm like, I have the feeling.
You were just waiting for it, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. Because they're beyond the wall. We know he's beyond the wall. We know he's been following the walkers, to keep eyes on him. And what other fitting we can do is the reason that Jon went up there.
Right.
And
honestly, though, this really disappointed me, this scene.
Yeah.
I really feel like Benjen was wasted because so obviously he comes in, he saves Jon, but then he goes back and he kind of sacrifices himself so that Jon can get away. He gives him the horse.
Yep.
But I don't know. It just didn't have enough impact because we'd only had one scene with him as Cold Hands. With Bran. Yeah. Like we literally had one episode, one scene where he was a mystery, one scene as Benjen.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I feel like here his whole role is he's keeping the Starks alive. He's fulfilling that. So
I get it, but it was just really disappointing. I feel like he was just kind of wasted as a character for me in the show. Like there wasn't enough of him to do anything interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I'm glad Jon's still alive.
Second time I shed a tear because when he goes, Uncle Benjen, he goes, "Go boy," and he sends the horse away, and they don't even get a moment to reconnect. He's just fulfilling his duty.
Yeah,
and he's basically he's still a crow. He's still the Night's Watch.
Night's Watch, yeah.
To keep them back beyond the wall, and he does his job. And pretty sure he's toast, but I don't know how.
It, doesn't it?
Yeah, and so we get back to Eastwatch, and Danny's waiting, and I always forget how cool Eastwatch looks because it's like the frozen waterfall with the ships in it.
Yeah, and she's on top of the wall there, looking out, kind of just hoping and just kind of praying, basically, and mourning Viserion as well.
Yep, and so what do we see? As she's telling Davos, just give me a couple more minutes, we see the horse from Benjen, which again, time. Clearly, they found warps in this place,
Yeah.
And here's Jon.
I like that before you see him, you just hear the blast for Rangers returning on the horn.
Yep. Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay,
cool.
that was smart because everyone just it's established in your brain now when you hear that.
Yep.
It was cool, but then they have a really nice scene together where Jon wakes up and he calls her Danny. Yeah, I think it's the first time on the show we've heard anyone call her that.
No, because she points out that her brother Viserys.
Right. Okay. I don't actually remember him saying it. Oh. Yeah.
It was. I mean, it was pretty early on when they were both, first introduced, I think.
Yeah.
And he goes, she goes, only my brother called me that, and he wasn't very nice. I'm not fond of that name.
Yeah.
And then he goes, well, how about I call you my queen? And
it's played the way she reacts. It's like, and the conversation continues. It's like he's all right. He's bending the knee. It's like forget because he had that speech with I think it might have been Tormund who was like or someone who was like who cares? It's like better to be alive because they talk about Mance and how he didn't bend the knee and look what happened.
Yep.
But at first I thought it was a marriage proposal.
I did too, and I was like, "Yo, dude, you're delirious, man."
Yeah.
Like, pump the brakes. But I did like what he said because he's laying there and he's completely vulnerable. You can see his scars.
Yeah.
You see where he's been stabbed, And Danny's at his bedside. Like, she respects this man. And I feel like as much as she likes Jorah, that's like Uncle Jorah, he kind of
Yeah.
helped raise her. And Dario was like her fun summer fling.
Yeah.
You know, Drogo was like, well, she was
Yeah,
kind
so
of
it was
forced.
a first love.
Yeah, forced into it. And who's the other one I'm missing? Shit, that marriage of convenience with the masters. Let me go through my notes. Jorah, Drogo. Oh, now Snow. So that's it.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
yeah, she's got all these guys, but this is the one that you feel that she feels she's on equal ground with.
Right. And it's
And
nice.
knowing what we know, it's kind of funny, right?
It is, yeah.
But through character motivations, I feel it's really well handled because
From
it's
their perspective,
actions,
it makes
not
total
words.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
he was willing to put his life on the line for the good of the kingdom.
Right.
Not for Cersei's kingdom, not for Daenerys's, just for Westeros as a whole. And I think that's enough for her. And now I do think maybe she's going to say, I'm going to need a king. And we're going to unite the North and the South. And, because it's that. And he apologized for Viserion because he knew. They had that conversation that these are her babies.
Yeah.
And he's lost people close to him. Danny has now. And, like, they can grieve together.
Yeah.
But things in the North go from bad to worse after that because...
Yeah, we've got one last scene with Arya and Sansa. Where
that too.
We do have Sansa goes creeping around in Arya's room and finds the chest of the the faces, the
faces.
And Arya gets terrifying.
She is a horror movie character now.
Yeah, I don't want to be on the wrong side of her. She is terrifying.
She doesn't blink. Watch that scene again. She's like Jake Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler. She does not blink.
She doesn't, and she's just there going, maybe I should take your face.
Huh?
Maybe I could do some good with it.
Huh?
And it's like, she's terrifying. Just back away slowly, Sansa. Back away.
Basically, so it's like, you're not going to betray Jon. There's been too many betrayals in our family. You're not going to do it. So play nice, or I'm going to take your face. And she's seen what she can do to Brienne, and Brienne's like 3 times her size.
That's a hell of a threat, though, isn't it? Play nice, or I'll take your face.
It is. I'm going to start saying it to the kids that I work with. Play nice, or I'm going to take your face. But... Yeah, it was, again, I don't like seeing these kids fight, but Sansa needed it. I just want to shake her. I just want to grab her by the shoulders and go, stop being dumb.
Yeah, Arya's just giving her a slap, going, come on, wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully it works.
Because then she hands her the dagger, right?
Right, and she thinks she's going to stab her, and then she turns it around for her.
And to me, I've watched enough crime movies to know that's the sign of
it's I'm going to use this on isn't
you. It? Well, yeah, I could use this on you now, but I'm not. So
yeah,
here you go. Yeah, hooey.
Yeah, and then of course, as you were saying, the final moment, what it's all been building to. We cut back to the Night's King, and we see chains, 3 big, massive chains down in the water. And of course,
so clearly the Night's King has, a Gendry-like walker.
Oh, right, I was going, where the hell has he got this smithed up? But ignoring that, you know exactly where this is going. You're like, no, oh no. And of course, he pulls up Viserion. And of course, the final shot.
Eyes go blue.
The eyes open. It goes blue.
We have a nice dragon. We have a white dragon. But we saw the king raise him. So.
Take out the king, take out the dragon.
That's it. So what we need to do, we need to get some archers with dragon glass, just start firing. That's it. Also, we know now that basically when dragon glass hits one of the undead, that's it. That's all you need is the one dragon glass piece.
Yeah.
Right? So we have a dragon gun. We've seen Bronn use it.
Oh, yes. A big dragon glass spear.
There we go. That's where
you're onto something.
That's where I was going. That they introduce it now. We know that it's not that effective against Dany's dragons, but you add the magic like you do the ice sphere that he threw.
Yeah, you could be right.
Boom, boom. But yeah,
Nice.
so this is all heading to a good place. You know, this episode, I do
Hell
feel
of a
this
fun episode.
this might be my favorite episode of the series, like bar none. It had everything that I like. You had undead bears, you had dragons raining fire, you had the ranging expedition, you had
Yeah.
Tormund being cool with the Hound.
Yeah,
Like,
just Tormund and the
everything-
Hound. That was great stuff.
Like, and I know it sounds like hyperbole, but no, this was it set up so much going forward, but it also paid off a lot of stuff that we've been building to.
I think I prefer over all the big action episodes like Battle of the Bastards, Hard Home. I feel like this had all that banter at the start that was like it really offset it. So when the shit hit the fan, it was like, oh man, this is rough. Instead of just being a big action sequence, it had both.
Yeah. So I really liked Blackwater up to this point because I felt it did a lot of the same things.
Mm.
And I'm going to credit that to the director, Alan Taylor, who we talked about last week.
Yeah.
So I feel like he does things that I like. And yeah, I mean, then them pulling the dragon out and making it an ice dragon, which I'm kind of glad they didn't do the book fan theory that there's an ice dragon in the north.
Yeah, there's a dragon in the wall.
Yeah, and stuff. I'm kind of glad that we're doing this instead. I do feel like that wall's coming down, though.
Yeah, but this makes more sense as the way for him to have a dragon, doesn't it? Just steal one of hers.
Yep, exactly. Because that's what they do. They steal the people,
Yeah. But goddamn, great episode.
That was. Yeah, so that was episode 6 of season 7, Beyond the Wall.
We have one left.
One left, and that's the finale. And then we're going to have to wait what feels like an eternity for the next season.
They've been saying it might not be till 2019.
Yeah, well, I know it goes into production in October of this year.
One certain cast, we won't say who in case you haven't seen it and you don't want it spoiled, but one of them sounds like they're surviving, said they're shooting again in October, which means following the previous schedules would mean at earliest we're looking at probably next September.
Yeah, and that's fine if they're going to be like this. This was a longer episode too. It was one of the more packed ones.
The next one's longer still. It's like another 10 minutes on top of what we had here.
Yeah, so if they're going to do that for all of next season, because here, we had the Dragon Cavalry. That was shorter. But if they want to make them like small movies to cap off the series, I'm more than fine with waiting for that. But if they're going to just give us shorter episodes, I'm a little like, well, let's rush it along, dudes.
Yeah. Here's hoping for the best.
Let's hope for the best.
One more. We'll be back next week with it for sure.
For sure. So let us know what you think in the comments below. And you can catch us on Twitter. Connor, Meister, what's our Twitter?
Twitter at @mild_fuzz. Our individual ones are screens below us. Of course, if you want to support us more, you can go to patreon.com/mildfuzztv and get some cool bonuses for any of that stuff. Come join on Facebook, Mildfuzz. Just search on Facebook, get the group. Come and join the weekly thread where we chat about all this stuff live after the episode.
Yep. We keep Connor awake when he should be going to sleep for work, but fan theories abound.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so that's us guys. And I guess I can say, and now our watch has ended.